Yo guys, what is up and welcome back to a brand new video. So today in this one, I wanted to go over what I believe to be are some of the best bass baits that you guys should be throwing in the fall. So I am aware that there are still a few more weeks left in the summer. We are kind of slowly making that transition into the fall season for bass fishing. Weather's definitely kind of cooling down a bit, especially up here in the Northeast. So I thought that right now would kind of be a good time to get this video out there for you guys, share my top 5 baits to throw in the fall, and hopefully this video helps you guys out and you're able to catch more fish. Alright, so I got the 5 baits that I'm going to be talking with you guys about today laid out right here in front of me. And basically I'm just going to kind of run through each bait, talk about it with you guys for a little bit. And then I actually have a few clips lined up of me using each bait to give you guys a better understanding of how you should be working this bait, where to throw it, time of day, all that stuff. And so before we jump into those 5 baits, I wanted to go ahead and give a quick honorable mention. That's going to be going to this bait right here. So as you can see, I got a little green pumpkin colored like trick worm, finesse worm type thing. And this thing, the reason I did not include it is because it really can be used any time of year. Like this will always be catching you fish, but I would still definitely recommend throwing this in the fall. Bass will always annihilate this thing. You throw it on a little Texas rig with a bullet weight, even a little wacky rig. Honestly, there's endless options when it comes to this. And I actually went out the other day using this specific bait to kind of show you guys. I knew it was going to be in this video, so I wanted to try to catch some fish with it and show you guys how I did that. So I will roll those clips right now.
Oh, there we go, right near those pads. It's perfect. Oh, there we go, guys. First fish on the day. Get in here, bud. Perfect right there. Finesse worm got it done. There we go, guys. Finally caught our second fish on the day. Nice little bass, straight out into the open right here. Perfect.
So as you can see, I was able to hook into some fish with this bait. They were not the biggest fish in the world, but that's all right. Just wanted to kind of show you guys that this thing really just catches any fish. It can work at almost any pond. For colors, it's pretty straightforward. I would go natural like this, green pumpkin, and clear water. In dirty water, go more black blue. Like I said, pretty straightforward. So yeah, now we got that out of the way, and let's move on to the official bait number 1. Alright, so kicking off our list right here is going to be the Lipless Crankbait, also known as the Rattle Trap. Now this bait works very, very well in the fall, and the main reason for that is, if you don't already know, a lot of the bait fish and shad that the bass feed on are going to be slowly kind of moving up into those shallower waters, like all those creeks, tributary areas. So because of that, a lot of the bass are going to do the same and follow. They want to keep stocking up on as much food as they can for the winter, keep on eating. So this bait does a absolutely perfect job of resembling some of those shad. So for color options, I would highly recommend something kind of along these lines. You can see I got a little white chartreuse color. That's definitely perfect. You really just want to match and resemble the color of the bait fish best you can. Another great option would be something like this. You can see it's kind of blue and white. All those colors, blue, white, chartreuses, all those are going to be perfect. Definitely what you want. I actually went out with this bait the other day on my golf course pond and was kind of using it to show you guys the way you want to fish it, the action it has, and how it kind of catches the fish. So I actually have a specific clip of me catching a bass with this that I will roll right now.
So right now, I got this nice little white rattle trap on right now on the bait caster. I came out here the other night and was absolutely slaying fish left and right with this thing. I think I caught like 7 or 8 on the day and only like an hour and a half. So yeah, not too bad. Oh my God, right at the bank. Yo. Jeez, guys, I was not expecting that. All right, guys, we got that guy unhooked. He absolutely demolished that thing, but that is nice to see. First one on the day, crushed it literally no more than 2 feet out on the bank. That was crazy. Good way to start off, so we'll get you back in the water, bud. Thank you for biting. All right, there he goes.
So as you can see by that clip, I was just kind of moving this bait in more the shallow section of the pond. There was kind of that little creek area to the left of me, and that's where I was moving it directly across there, and the bass actually smoked it right at the bank. So like I said, a lot of those shad, when they're moving into those grassy areas to try to hide from the bass, that's where the bass are going to be looking for them. So you can see this guy definitely smoked it right at the bank, definitely thought it was a shad or something like that. So they definitely get the job done. So that is going to be the first bait, the Lipless Crankbait. All right, so moving on to bait number 2 is going to be the Whopper Popper. Now, similar to the Lipless Crankbait, the Whopper Popper, again, does another awesome job at resembling a shad. So I would definitely recommend kind of throwing it leading into all those creeks and tributaries. Bass are still very active, especially in the early fall. A lot of times they hit topwater greatly in the summer. So it kind of carries over into the early fall, like that whole month of September, even a little bit of October. Definitely recommend throwing these. Again, for color options, pretty straightforward. Like, you just want to match that shad color. So I would definitely recommend going with something like a powder, or I also got this one right here with me. This is colored bone, kind of like a little chartreuse. But the Whopper Popper, one of the great things about it is you can really just cover so much water with this bait. Very versatile. Another good option similar to this would be kind of like a buzz bait. It's great at getting those bass's attention. And those bass, like I said, they're still going to be pretty darn active and aggressive on topwater. So these are perfectly great options. Just like the other baits, I do have a couple clips of me using both of these, so I will roll those right now.
There we go, guys. First one on the Whopper Popper. There we go. Little guy right there, but I will take it. Right there. Right there. There we go, guys. First one on the Whopper Popper. That's what I was saying. You reel that thing by, eventually something will get annoyed and crush this thing. Man, that was right at the bank, too.
All right, so as you can see there, kind of very similar again to the crankbait. These bass just absolutely annihilated it right at the bank. That's kind of why you could see I was fishing it parallel to the shore. Try to cover as much area where those shad would be all stocked up as I could. And yeah, definitely got the job done. So I would definitely recommend throwing a Whopper Popper in the fall. All right, so that is going to bring us to bait number 3, and that is going to be the spinnerbait. So what's awesome about the spinnerbait is it's actually kind of in between the first 2 baits we talked about. When you reel it in, it kind of sits just under the surface of the water, so not quite top water, but definitely not as deep as a crankbait. Now what's awesome about this spinnerbait is because, as you can see, it's got 2 blades right here. Most spinnerbaits are definitely going to have a blade or some sort. Usually they have 2, sometimes 1. I would definitely recommend throwing something with multiple blades. The reason for that is when you're reeling this thing in the water, as you know, these blades are going to be spinning and rotating in the water. The sunlight's going to be reflecting off them. They really give great action. And what's awesome about that is they actually kind of act as a schooling. So when a bass sees this in the water, they're going to see 3 things moving. They're going to see the main part of the spinnerbait, and they're going to see both blades, and they're going to think it's a whole cluster and group of shad, which is just going to give a better reason for that bass to go up and chomp this thing. That's why I would definitely recommend throwing this on a sunny day, preferably windy too, to get these things spinning as best you can and reflecting off that sunlight for the bass to be able to see it. All right, so moving on to bait number 4 is going to be the jig. Now the jig is a perfect and key bait to be throwing in the fall, especially in the late fall. The reason for that is as we get closer to the winter in the months of like November, December, those bass are going to be migrating back into deeper waters. So this is a perfect bait to be using because it is a bottom bait and a slow moving bait, and those bass are going to be less aggressive as the year progresses, as the water cools down and all that. So this is a perfect bait to kind of throw under like docks, brush cover, really just let it sink to the bottom and let it hop across the bottom. Those bass are going to go nuts over it, especially around that time of year, October, November, definitely perfect. For color options, again, I would kind of stick with probably more white chartreuse. But any color will really work, especially in the late fall when the water clarity becomes a little more dirty. I would probably stick with something more like black, blue, green, pumpkin. You really can't go wrong with the jig color. It almost always works. But again, I would kind of recommend throwing it under trees, brush piles, any type of cover or structure you can find. A lot of those bass are going to be chilling under there, and this is a perfect bait to target them. So I do have another clip of me actually using this jig. This wasn't in the fall, I actually filmed this a few months ago, but it just kind of shows you the action and how aggressive these bass can be on a jig.
Okay, so on my bait caster, I just had on this little jig, little flipping jig, Trash Master with a little green pumpkin vile bug craw. So, like I said, it is a little less weedy in this area. So I think we're gonna try a jig for a little bit of a bigger, oh, we already got one on it. That didn't take long. Oh guys, this feels like a decent one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh my God. Come here, get in the net. No. There we go, guys. Second one of the day on the jig. Settle down, bud.
So you guys just saw that clip. That was absolutely crazy. Totally caught me off guard when I was actually fishing. But yeah, that bass murdered that jig as soon as it hits the water. It just goes to show you how effective jigs can be if you use them the right way. All right, so the fifth and final bait we're going to be talking about is the Squarebill crankbait. Now, the Squarebill crankbait is another awesome option at resembling a bait fish. Very similar to the Lipless Crankbait. However, one of the main differences is the movement this thing gives off. The movement of a Squarebill crankbait is really just unlike anything else. When you're reeling this thing, it might sound crazy, but I would definitely try to run it into as many obstacles as you can. I'm not saying run it into weeds to get snagged because it does have treble hooks, but if you bump this thing into rocks, trees, like dock poles, all that stuff, the vibrations it gives off is just absolutely crazy. It definitely gets those bass to go wild over it. So like I said, when you're casting out, I would definitely recommend fishing it very close to a strong cover like rocks and trees. It's just the vibrations they give off and makes it bounce off those obstacles. Really gets the bass to come over and get excited about this thing and definitely smoke it. All right, so now for color options with this thing, I know you guys probably already know by now, you've heard me say it a billion times in this video, but I would obviously definitely go with those white chartreuse. They're definitely gonna get the job done. You can also actually go with something like this. I just wanted to show you guys the two I have with me. This one actually perfectly resembles kind of a yellow perch. So if you know the pond or lake you're gonna be fishing has like perch or something, I would recommend something like this. I also picked up this Squarebill the other day. You can actually see this one's a little different. It actually has, I think it has like 5 little small bait fish painted on the outside. And that does a perfect job of resembling a little school of bait fish, kind of moving into the shallower waters. Bass will definitely get the attention from this bait. So anything like that, you can kind of change it up. Again, getting to know the pond or lake body of water you're going to be fishing really helps, so you can adjust from there depending on what color and size you want to be using. All right, so that is going to bring this video to an end. Big thank you to all of you who have made it this far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and learned a thing or two. That was kind of the reason of making it. But yeah, so if you liked it, of course, go ahead and drop a like down below. If you have any questions or anything about where you can get these baits or just anything else I didn't cover in the video, definitely feel free to ask down below. And also, of course, hit that subscribe button if you're new and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss another video. My new little upload schedule is every Friday at 6 p.m. EDT, so definitely stay tuned. You ain't gonna want to miss anything. You'll probably see me using a lot of these baits we talked about today in upcoming videos, so stay tuned for all that, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.